Hi guys, another video. I'm just in my apartment today. We aren't going anywhere, and I don't know if you can tell if there's a difference in the lighting. I'm filming this during the day. There is a window right here that you can't see, and it's open and there's light coming out of it, so it's great. Or into it, out of anyway. The reason that I am home, it's Monday. The reason I'm home on a Monday at 4 o'clock is that I got horrifically sick. Went to work as normal. I talked to my parents. I Skype my parents like every Monday. I was talking to them completely fine. I had peanut butter toast as usual. I made tea. And then I just got like a violent monthly episode of Shark Week, and I listened to my body very, very well. And I knew that if I didn't leave the office right then and there, I would have been stuck there just being really sick for a long time. Like once I get to a certain level of sick, I can't get in a car and like go home and be sick there. Like I need to just like be sick in one place and like not move. And then usually I'm fine. Like right now I'm at about 80%. I'll be fine. Girls, you're so tough. I don't know how we do it. So anyway, what we're really here for is I previously posted a video about Haruki Murakami, book cafes, stuff like that, and I got a lot of really cool comments talking about either books that you like, either from Murakami or from other artists or other authors. And then a few people actually asked, what about Korean authors? I'm interested in Korean authors. Do you have any recommendations? So I do. For Murakami, I've already talked about it. Maybe I'll do another video on some of the kind of contemporary Japanese artists that I like. Authors, why do I keep saying artists? They're artists, whatever. Yeah, I can do a separate video for that, but today we're going to talk about some Korean fiction authors. I actually started reading, any reading material I had by Korean authors were usually biographical, like autobiographical, or like historical fiction. Like I read up a lot about North Korea actually. That's how I kind of got started at all in Korean literature, was more nonfiction and like historical fiction. I'm relatively new to the kind of fiction artistic scene, so I'm gonna share three and a half, because I haven't read one of these books, but I'm sure you've all heard of this book. I haven't read it yet, but the author is incredibly famous, Kyung Shin, and Please Look After Mom is like a bestseller. Everybody talks about it, but I've never read it. So while I was at the bookstore the other day, I picked this up, so I will read it. They have a lot of other books as well. This author has written many very popular books. They're very influential. So I will let you know how this is. I know that you guys from on YouTube have told me to read it before. So there we go. There's one. If you're interested in any of these books, links are down below. Next is Kang. I have not read Human Acts, which is why I picked it up. But I did read The Vegetarian, which I think has been like the buzzing book right now. She wrote, yeah, oh, here's a tiny picture of it. Vegetarian. The Vegetarian was rather short, and it kind of had a Murakami feel, in that some of his books have this subtle creepiness to it. It's always this person is walking down this long empty corridor for like hours, it seems, and then he gets to a door and like, what's the password? Like, you know, that like you feel something weird happening. That's how The Vegetarian started, but the characters are much more real. The reason I keep bringing up Murakami is because I know a lot of you guys expressed that you like Murakami, so I want to somehow relate it to him. Again, I'm not saying that like they're all similar, but I felt that if you like Murakami, you definitely will like The Vegetarian. But the characters are much more real and relatable. I think that Murakami characters are often a little like, not that they're unrelatable, but they're like definitely a certain kind of person. But the people in The Vegetarian were definitely they felt like real people. Like it really felt like you were just looking in on someone else's life. And then, you know, the actual vegetarian in the story obviously was a little bit less relatable, but at the same time it felt so real that it was really creepy. I read it over Christmas, I think. Yeah, I brought it home, which is why I don't have the physical copy with me, is I left it in California. But I read it, and I was jet lagged, so like I'd be reading at 3 a.m. and I would be scared. I wouldn't continue reading. It like I had to put it down at some points. It's a relatively quick read, but it's a good one. Just be prepared to be pretty creeped out. So yeah, Hangang. I'm reading this one next. I haven't started it. I literally just picked it up. It's a very, very interesting writer. Next is a book I don't have a physical copy of because I also left it in California. I think. I'm not really sure where I left this book, but it's Chang Rae Lee. The book is called On Such a Full Sea by Chang Rae Lee, and it's about a kind of dystopian future. It's one of those books where there's a quote-unquote utopian society, or a very strictly regulated and controlled society, so that there's meant to be peace, and then there's this like wilderness outside, right? And you don't get a lot of questions answered. You have a lot of questions in the beginning, and they aren't necessarily answered. Even at the end, I'm gonna go ahead and say, no spoilers, but like, it doesn't answer every question in this book, but it just follows one girl who kind of, for certain reasons, leaves this town, this like controlled village. Yeah, she escapes and kind of, or not escapes, she leaves and kind of goes on this very strange adventure. And I wouldn't say that it was my favorite book, but it was a book that I definitely read quickly and enjoyed. I don't know if I'd ever read it again. I think I'd read it again just because I honestly can't remember certain plot points very well. It wasn't like mind-blowing, but it wasn't bad. I think it, especially if you like those kind of books that have this like strange dystopian feel to them, you'll enjoy it. So I would definitely say pick it up. Don't expect to be blown away, but it's a good story, a good read. And then finally, this is a book, if you're gonna pick up any author that I'm talking about, read this author. I'm sorry that I made you sit through like 10 minutes of me blabbing, but Kim Young-ha. I adore his writing, and this is his like short story, I guess. It's called I found memorabilia. It's called I Have the Right to Destroy Myself. This is the first thing that I read by him. This was a really strange book for me to read because it was the first book I had read since living in Korea that would reference places in Seoul. So he does this very often in his writing. He will reference real places, and it was so odd to be like reading, and then he mentions, you know, oh, I'm going here. Like I just saw, he said like Sadang Station, right? I know where Sadang Station is. Like I've been there. I pass by it all the time. Like it was just a very strange feeling to read a book so obviously taking place in Seoul, and being in Seoul. It was quite odd. But yeah, this, I don't know if this is like everybody's book. I definitely think Murakami fans would love this book. But if you haven't really gotten into Murakami yet, I wouldn't pick up this book. The book that I am suggesting to everyone is Black Flower, which is also by Kim Kim. That book was so interesting. I absolutely did not know what I expected. I just picked it up because I had read this and I wanted to read more, and it's completely different. It's actually a historical fiction. Yeah, it's historical fiction. It's actually about the point in history when A lot of Koreans were promised this, you know, American dream, but really it was the Mexican dream. And they were brought by the boatfuls, right? Mostly by choice. They were brought to Mexico and told that, you know, you're gonna work here and you're gonna get a better life and all this stuff. And they ended up working on these plantations, and they were essentially slaves. They were like indentured servants, right? They had to work enough to pay to buy their freedom, but like there's no way that they're going to be able to ever afford their freedom. And you know, the people who ended up learning Spanish were the ones who were able to like manipulate the system. And if you wanted to escape, you know, then you're just in Mexico and everybody's looking for you. Like it's a part of history, a part of Korean history that I absolutely never knew about. I obviously knew about Koreans who came to America, but I never knew about Mexico. It's really interesting. It kind of reminds me, if any of you guys are from California, in America, in our 4th year of elementary school, we all study the certain state that we're living in at the time. And I was born and raised in California, so I was studying California, and we learned obviously a lot about Mexican history because California was Mexico for most of its life. It really reminded me of that time in my life when I was studying a lot about Mexico and stuff like that, and the spread of Catholicism and everything. So I liked it just because it's something I'm genuinely interested in. Like, I really enjoy studying about Mexican culture. I don't know why, maybe because I lived 20 minutes from Mexico. It felt really familiar, but also there were like Korean words. So there would be sentences in Korean and sentences in Spanish, and they'd be like talking about how they translate Korean and Spanish. And I understand both of those languages, and it was just like, my mind was like, Carrie, what are you doing? You're reading a book in English and it's in Spanish and it's in Korean. It was great. So yeah, it's genuinely a piece of history that not a lot of people know about, and I think that that's always important history to learn. I highly suggest Black Flower. It's not a really long read. I had a physical copy and I left it in New York. I just like leave a trail of books everywhere. I have a digital copy, I guess, on like my tablet, which I don't really use that often, but yeah, I do still have a copy, thank God. So maybe I'll reread it. So that is it for my Korean suggestions, but I have a huge problem because I bought 3 new books recently, and I think I'm gonna start with this one. I know I just talked about these 2 Korean authors that I want to read, but I just saw Arrival, and if you guys follow me on Tumblr, you know that I'm like freaking out about Arrival. I really liked it. So I actually bought the collection of short stories right here, Stories of Your Life. And one of these stories is the story that inspired Arrival, the film. So yeah, I think that if he has the imagination to come up with that kind of storyline, I can't wait to read the other stories. So, there's like man, I was at Kyobo the other day, and their books, you can't really see it, but there's like a hole. Their books were beat up. I had to like dig to find books that weren't beat up, and I guess I missed this little spot. Well, that's okay. Anyway, so that is what I am going to be doing today. For the rest of my day, I'm gonna just like curl up. I have my tea. I'm drinking green tea peppermint candy cane green tea from Trader Joe's. It's seasonal. I only bought 1 box. I'm very upset. It's so good. So we'll see how far I get. This is short stories, so maybe I'll read a few here, read a few here, read a few, you know? So anyway, please let me know what you guys think down below. If you've read any of these authors, if you have any more suggestions for me. Like I said, I'm pretty new to the Korean contemporary fiction scene. So yeah, let's talk about books, and let's drink tea, and let's do things. I'm trying to figure out when is a good time to do like a live stream, because so many of you guys have talked about like a digital tea party, and I think that'd be really fun. So yeah, I'm gonna try and figure out where you guys are. YouTube tells me where you guys are actually, generally. All right, I have like your time zones figured out. So I'm gonna try and figure out what's a good time to essentially do a live stream, a tea party kind of thing. So yeah, look forward to that. Maybe, I don't know, I'm a really awkward person, so maybe a live stream isn't a great idea. I'll see you guys soon. I'm actually heading to Myeongdong tomorrow. Probably like the worst day to go. It's gonna be March 1st, which I will talk about in the video. Tomorrow is Korean Independence Day, and I have been invited to stay at this really awesome hostel that I'm gonna show you guys, and I'm gonna show you guys around that area. However, it is literally right next to the park where the Declaration of Independence was read 98 years ago? 97 years ago? I can't do math. Anyway, so that's kind of where like the celebration is really gonna like start and spread from there. So tomorrow night is gonna be fine, but the next morning when I wake up, it's gonna be pretty nuts. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm excited to show you guys that. Yeah, and please excuse my voice. I don't know if you noticed I don't know, something about my sickness today. My voice is kind of like weak. I'm really feeling fine now. Like I have like this massive bag of walnuts that I've just been eating. So like I've got my good fat, I've got my potassium, I bought oranges, I've got vitamin C. So I will be okay. And if any of you girls are going through the same thing, so now, on that note, I'm going to log off and go read my books. So I will talk to you guys later, and I will see you next in Myeongdong, I guess. Myeongdong it is. Bye!